Let me give you some questions that I feel that everyone in the Seventh-day Adventist organization deserves an answer to. If they're going to consider joining that organization, or they're in that organization and don't know about it, uh, they have a right to know if it's their organization. For instance, ask the Seventh-day Adventist, why did you all of a sudden drop the shut door policy held by the pioneers of the Seventh-day Adventist organization, such as Ellen White and James White? Why did you all of a sudden drop the shut door policy and stop talking about it after 1851? Why did you do that? Many Seventh-day Adventists don't even know about it. Uh, the reason it was dropped is because it was involved with a failed prediction for the return of Jesus Christ in 1851. They were saying that the door to salvation was shut and that no one else was going to be saved. But all of a sudden, 1851 comes and goes, and Jesus hasn't returned as they predicted he would. So all of a sudden, the shut door policy is dropped from the writings of the Seventh-day Adventist organization. If Ellen White was a prophet and she got this vision from God, why have you dropped it? Seventh-day Adventist, you ever considered that? Think about one of your primary doctrines on investigative judgment. If investigative judgment was so important, why didn't Ellen White talk about it in the Great Controversy of 1858? Why was it some 30 years later, in the Great Controversy of 1888, that she started talking about investigative judgment? If it was so important, it seemed like she would have talked about it in 1858. That's because it didn't exist then. And then all of a sudden, when all the failed predictions began to take place, they had to come up with some reason why Jesus hadn't come back. So they invent investigative judgment and then start teaching it. Seventh-day Adventists, do you not even know that? Probably not, because according to this so-called Ellen White software that some Seventh-day Adventist members use, the 1858 version of the Great Controversy is not in that software. I had a person come to one of my videos where I was talking about that software, and he was making a statement, yes, I have that software, and both versions of the Great Controversy are in there. When I reminded him there's not just two versions of the Great Controversy, there's at least three, 1858, 1888, and 1911. Then he didn't come back and make any comment, which shows apparently that the software is set to give the results that the Seventh-day Adventists wanted to get, or the White Estate wants it to get, because the Great Controversy of 1858 is not in there. So many errors in the 1858 version that was changed later when they realized that all these predictions they had been making about the return of Christ were failing as well. Ask them about it. Why was not the investigative judgment talked about in the 1858 Great Controversy, and all of a sudden, some 30 years later, voila, here it is in the 1888 version? Seventh-day Adventists, why did they do that? Are you trying to deceive people? Are you trying to hide your own history from them? Apparently, that seems to be the norm within the Seventh-day Adventist organization. If our prophet makes a mistake, let's just cover it up and just change the book. We'll just change the book and act as though it never happened. We can go for years and years and years, and it won't be said. It won't be anything said about it. So no member will really know what our history is. We'll just change it up and change the history as we go to fit our needs. Uh, they have many times tried to talk about the Pope being the Antichrist. The Antichrist is Seventh-day Adventist. There's someone who denied that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. There's someone who's denied that Jesus Christ is God. All right, if the Pope is the Antichrist, as you say they are, please give me one Pope in all of Catholic history that has ever denied the deity of Jesus Christ. One Pope will do. That's all it takes. Give me one Pope who has ever denied the deity of Jesus Christ. I will give you an entire organization that has denied the deity of Jesus Christ. That is the Seventh-day Adventist organization. Now, if you want to talk about the Antichrist spirit, I think you better look in your own organization first. Show me one Pope that has ever denied the deity of Jesus Christ and that Jesus has come in the flesh. So many things that they have to cover up to make their doctrine fit. There's so many things that they have to cover up to deceive their members into believing that they've always taught this. For instance, like the three angels message that they teach now. Why did all of a sudden the first three angel message, as taught by the early pioneers, why all of a sudden did it drop and they quit teaching the first three angel message that was taught by the pioneers. It was because it had to do with a failed prediction of the return of Christ. Oh, we can't teach that anymore. Let's just change it up. So they started preaching a second three angels message. In fact, there's a movement within the Seventh-day Adventist organization now to either go back to the original message or start a third three angels message as being taught today. They say if there's anybody who needs to answer some questions, the Seventh-day Adventist members need to be honest with their own people. They need to be honest with who they're teaching and what they're trying to promote. Why don't they just say, oh, well, we were wrong, and we've had to change our thinking, or we were wrong, and Ellen White was wrong. She was a false prophetess, and we just can't follow her anymore. Why don't they just simply tell the truth? When they begin having to promote their own doctrines and defend their own doctrines, like I've made them had to do, then their writings begin to come out, their teachings begin to come out, what they believe begins to come out, and people look at it and say, well, I didn't believe it, but Ben Golly was right. They do believe this stuff, don't they? They have changed their message, haven't they? They do deceive people. So many questions you need to answer, Seventh-day Adventist, before you start pointing fingers at others. Until next time, this is Ben Golly saying,